This is a Hot Pie Media original.
I have two little kids, and that sounds like part of the conversation I've had with them. I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. And a lot of times I tell them, they hear this at least once a week, it's okay to feel what you feel, but you can't express it that way. You have to find a different way of expressing it than throwing a temper tantrum and throwing yourself on the ground or screaming and crying. There's a different way to express it. Am I helping or am I harming by telling them it's okay to feel that way, just don't express it that way?
You're helping.
Okay.
Number one, feeling, as a man, as a father, giving your children permission to feel is fabulous. Fabulous. And you're maybe one of the first generations to have done it. My father certainly never said that. And maybe people of my generation have started, but your generation is really, you got it. Okay. Then, it's one thing to say it's okay to feel, but you can't express it that way, but maybe you want to show them another way to express it.
Right.
Maybe you want to say, hey, when you're really mad, and I get you're mad at me, I understand it. I hear you. I want you to go in their room and I want you to hit your pillows, or I want you to get out your little, whatever they have, that little rubber dip or little rubber bat or doll.
They do have those.
Yeah. Just express it. Go in there and hit the bed. It's fine. It's fine. And they will do that. If you show them how to do it, go in there with them when they're having a tantrum and do it with them and say, great, now how do you feel? And after they've exhausted themselves, they're going to feel pretty good.
Hot Pie Media. Stupid dumb beat made by G-Bro.
Welcome to the gray area. Here's your host, Aaron Cheatham.
What up, guys? Welcome to the gray area with your boy Aaron Cheatham in the place to be. Today's a great day. Today is probably, next to Christmas, this is probably the best day, the biggest day of the year, for me at least. And it's weird saying that because by the time you guys see this, it won't be today, but today is CM Punk Day, and you guys will see this next, if you see it at all. I don't know. Like, we're not even on the Hot Pie channel on YouTube anymore. So if you can find it, clearly you found it because you're here, but thank you for finding it. And it's CM Punk Day though. Like, I don't care. You might see this Wednesday, Thursday, a month from now, but today is CM Punk Day. Today is the day that CM Punk returns to wrestling, and I am so excited. Look in my eyes, what do you see? The cult of personality. I'm so excited, right? And for you guys that aren't wrestling fans, you're probably thinking this is really weird. I'm on some bullshit right now. But real talk, like, imagine 1996, Michael Jordan returns to basketball. That feeling. When you heard, George's leaving baseball and he's coming back to basketball. When you heard that, the excitement in the air, it got real godlike when you, but that was the excitement. I can feel it coming in to hit me with the reverb. Air tonight. Oh no. But that's what it's like, man. All right. So for those of y'all that don't know, CM Punk was a cultural icon. He left wrestling 7 years ago. And for the past 7 years, almost every WWE show over the past 7 years, you've heard this man's name chanted. That's how much he was endeared by the fans. There's a good chunk of wrestling fans who left wrestling, who stopped watching wrestling altogether when CM Punk left, because he was the voice of the voiceless. He's the guy that said all the things that you weren't supposed to say. He stood up for the little guy, and he was just such a big personality, man. Like, I can't even, I was, real talk, I was at one of his last WWE shows. He came here to Austin. Monday Night Raw was here in Austin. And it was like within 2 weeks of that show that he walked away from wrestling. And then he had, the podcast with Colt Cabana that really was the first wrestling podcast that ever went viral, where he laid out all his grievances and stuff. That led to lawsuits and a whole bunch of other things. Then he went to UFC and got knocked the fuck out twice, or just choked the fuck out. But that none of that even touched him, because still through all of that, all of the drama and the ups and downs, last year WWE announced that he was going to come be a part of their backstage show on Fox when they signed a deal with Fox. And the excitement, people were excited just to see him talk about wrestling. Now tonight, just like Jordan, CM Punk is returning to the United Center in Chicago, his hometown. And if you know anything about this, do me a favor. Look up CM Punk entrance, Money in the Bank, or just CM Punk entrance Chicago. Before his music hit, before a single note was hit, 25,000 people were chanting this man's name so loud that it felt like the building was the building was shaking through the TV. You can feel the energy of people yelling his name at the top of their lungs before his music even hit. And when his music hit, the roof literally came off of the building. He went down, he fought John Cena in a match where they have signs hanging up. If Punk loses, we riot. And they meant that. This is 2011, all right? This man beat John Cena on his last day in the company for the WWE Championship, hopped the barricade, blew a kiss to John Cena, ran through the fans, out of the building into a car that was waiting outside, and drove the fuck off. And people lost their minds. He returned a month later and was the hottest thing wrestling had seen since the peak. Well, I'd even say this is, like, to be honest, the pop he got was probably higher than it's on Rock Cena level. Not Cena, Rock Stone Cold level. Like at the height of Rock Stone Cold, at the height of Hulk Hogan, his popularity was on that level. The excitement people had for him was at that level. Listen to me talk right now. I'm excited. This man hasn't been in a ring in 7 years. Tonight, he returns to United Center in Chicago. It's already happened by the time you watch this, but I tell you what, I'm gonna pop. I'm watching that show with bated breath, sitting on the edge of my seat, waiting for it. Today's the day, people. You've been chanting for this for 7 fucking years. Tonight's the night we get it. CM Punk is back. And I can't contain myself, God damn it. Woo! I'm so excited. Yo, did you see that Ric Flair was trending 2 days ago?
Yep.
Did you see why he was trending?
I did not, though.
Oh my good. I'm going to show you. Shout out to Ric Flair. That's my shout out of the week. There's a picture that surfaced 2 days ago that was not Ric Flair, but it looked a hell of a lot like Ric Flair having a good time on a train. He was definitely on his way to Space Mountain. And God bless Ric Flair for not only, like, was he trending for this, and like everybody else, when I saw Ric Flair was trending, it was like, oh man, please don't let Rick be gone. Like, this first thing you think of Ric Flair. It's like, oh man, come on, what could it be? And then you click on it, and I was so relieved to see why he was trending, because it's the most Ric Flair reason to be trending. Did you just look it up?
I did.
Can you put the picture on the screen? Can you? Oh, it's the best reason.
Okay, hang on.
Yes.
He's living his best life.
He is living his best life. That's not even him, but he is definitely living his best life. Oh, did these? Yeah,
There it is.
there it is. Ric Flair, living my best life. Ain't got time to dump denim, living his best life. Yo, and this is when Twitter's at its best, because that picture surfaced, and then all you have to do is just scroll through Twitter, like everything under trending, and all the pictures and all the comments. of it. It was, if you need a pick me up, just go look at why Ric Flair was trending and then scroll through the comments, scroll through everything everybody was posting. And you too will be living your best life. Oh, God bless Ric Flair. He showed up in Mexico on Saturday. He got released from WWE a week and a half ago, and he showed up in Mexico at Triple Mania, which like their biggest, it's CMLL and AAA's biggest show of the year. It's their WrestleMania. He was there with his soon-to-be son-in-law, Andrade El Idolo, who I effing love. He's engaged to Charlotte Flair, and nobody knew Rick was going to be there. And Andrade El Idolo comes out, and then Ric Flair comes out there with his future son-in-law and walks him to the ring and is ringside with him in a match versus Kenny Omega. Yo, Ric Flair is legit living his best life. It was amazing to see him come out with his future son-in-law, and then to see him get in the ring and have a moment with Kenny Omega where him and Andrade are chopping him back and forth. Then they hit a figure four. Rick puts it on, was it Conan? Was it Conan? It might have been Conan. I don't think it was Conan. I could be wrong. But Ric Flair's got a figure four going on. Andrade Idolo's got one going on. This is a very wrestling-centric start to the show. I apologize for those of y'all that aren't into wrestling, but just be into my excitement and understand that when I'm telling you, this shit is great right now. If you're not a wrestling fan, if you were and you used to be, and now you're trying to get, but you're kind of on the fence about it, right now is the time. If you had any interest ever before, this is as interesting as wrestling is going to be for a long time. Like, WWE's on the way down. They've done a lot. I mean, I talked about it on this show. I stopped watching their weekly stuff. I watched their pay-per-views. I stopped watching the weekly things because of the creative freaking direction was going nowhere, and they weren't paying off fans for our dedication and our commitment to the product. The ratings have been going through the floor. On the opposite end, though, AEW, this new company that's been around for 2 years, has been on the incline. They've done everything that fans want to see out of a wrestling promotion. It has been phenomenal, right? My friend Thunder Rosa's over there killing it, right? They've taken people that I've seen perform here in Austin and around Texas for years, and they put them on TV and made them stars, right? And then today, they are bringing back CM Punk, and Bryan Danielson's coming there, and there's a good chance Adam Cole will be there after this weekend. This is SummerSlam weekend. This is the biggest show of the year for WWE. Tomorrow is the biggest show of the year because WrestleMania was in limited capacity, so they're putting SummerSlam on as their big show for this year, and it is being overshadowed by CM Punk showing up at our wrestling show tonight. That's how big of a deal this is. Y'all, man, we got a great show for you. We got a great show for you guys. Hopefully you get to see it. Shout out, one last thing, trending in the news on the interwebs this week. Did you hear that OnlyFans is banning sexual content on their website?
Yep,
October. They are getting rid of sexual content. They rode the backs of these sex workers to a payday, and now they're kicking them to the curb.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on. Who do you think is going to stick around? Anyways, guys, I'm starting an OnlyFans page, so please check me out. Support me over there on OnlyFans. It'll be me telling jokes with a t-shirt on. Ain't nothing sexy about that at all. Trust me. Well, that's it for the trending. Big show lined up for you guys this week. Hope you enjoy our interview with we're bringing on a fellow Hot Pie member. All right, this is the host of a fellow show right here on the Hot Pie Media Network. Stop Self-Sabotage. Pat Pearson joining us right here. All right, guys, our guest this week comes from the Hot Pie Media family. She is a mental, oh Lord, hold on, I'm gonna pause. Wait, MSS, it was mental, hold on, don't tell me, mental science, social work, right?
I have an MSSW.
There you go. I'm just gonna say she has an MSSW.
Yeah, which stands for I forgot.
See me? Okay, they just me. We are off to the worst start. We're gonna run this back, but this is
really off to Qualifications here. Okay. My mental health is a little bit. Okay. So it stands for Master's
There it is.
in Social Work. Yeah. Master's of Science in Social Work. MSSW, University of Texas and the Arlington. And when I've told people about this before, we were laughing about it earlier. A lot of people go, MSSW, what is that? And several people have said to me, a master's in swimming? I mean, what is that? But it's a mental health degree. It's a degree that allows me to be a clinician and work with people for their mental betterment.
Awesome.
So there you go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna try to give you a better introduction than what I just did, because that was bumbly fumbly.
I thought that was good.
You thought, that me just my tongue fell out of my mouth and walked across the table, and you were like, "That was good. That was good. Make your face fall again." Yeah, please have another stroke on air.
It was real.
Well, our guest this week, fellow member of the Hot Pie family. She has the show Stop Self Sabotage. She's a mental health expert with a Master's of Science in Social Work. It is Pat Pearson.
Thank you. Good to be on the gray area.
It's good for me.
Make it a little less gray. Let's clean up the gray a little bit here.
Oh no, we've opted for dark this week. We've gone very dark. We yes, we are in the darker shades of gray. If you're I don't know what shade of gray you guys like to hang out in, but right now we're hanging out in the darker shades of gray. Write a book about that. It'll be a bestseller. In fact, I might. Darker shades of gray.
I like that.
How are you doing today? You having a good day?
So far, yeah.
Out there in sunny San Diego right now?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the zoo later on.
Ooh,
how about that?
I hear they have a great zoo. Have you been there before?
I have. Yeah.
Is it a great zoo?
It is. It's amazing zoo. Yeah, it's a great zoo. Yeah.
I took my kids to the Austin Zoo a couple of years ago, and all the animals were asleep. Not a great zoo. Not a great zoo. You know, when my at the time 3-year-old can shout down a lion, it is not a great zoo. I was like, oh, let's get out of here. This is trash. He's like, there's no reason a 3-year-old should be able to yell at a lion and roar at him. And the lion not even lift his head. Like, I was like, oh, let's get out of here. These aren't real animals. That's a dude in the
oh
sea.
God, another 3-year-old. Okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
They see them all the time for sure.
I'm sure my son's not the first one to go, I'm a lion. So
no, I don't think he is. I don't, nor the last. So.
Nor the last. Well, we brought you on to talk about some mental health stuff. I mean, especially nowadays, with mental health is kind of like moved to the forefront in the past couple of years, where it wasn't a topic that wasn't really talked about a lot before. But with the pandemic, and then with Simone Biles in the Olympics a couple of weeks ago, really bringing mental health to the forefront. I mean, I think the discussion really got hot and heavy between with her and Naomi Osaka when both of them said they weren't going to compete for mental health reasons. There was a lot of pushback, but then there was also a lot of acceptance. So I think right now, this is a conversation that I think a lot of people are having more openly than before. What are your thoughts on, I guess you could say, the state of mental health in America right now?
Well, the truth is the state of mental health in America is not good. It really isn't. I mean, if you look at the stressors and the amounts of mental health issues, I did a little research before we were talking here. They found that 4 out of 10 people have increased anxiety and depression since COVID, since the pandemic. That's a 400% increase prior to the pandemic. 400%.
Wow.
So it's all, and this is from today, New York Times reporting. And 60% of those people are going without treatment. So, it's a lot of numbers, And, there's things you can do that will help you pretty quickly. So,
do you think it's like the isolation is what caused that people went through, or are there other factors at play?
Oh, there's a lot of factors. Truly, there's a lot of factors. Isolation is certainly one of them. And a huge one for the elderly and people who were single, that didn't have, hadn't created close friends around them. That was a real bad cutoff. And from that, what you're seeing is sleeping problems, appetite problems, changes in physical activity. A lot less exercise, a lot more alcohol. The increased physicality or the reduced physicality during pandemic has caused a lot of people to be depressed and anxious. And so it's a true worry. It really is. And they found that 70% of us, all of us, have increased stress because of it. So, you had all your stress before, right?
Right.
Now you got 30% more. And that's a tough one to handle. It really is.
It feels like we were already on track for potentially an increase of mental health issues in this country going into the pandemic. It feels like the way that society is here, it's a recipe for people to have stress, be overstressed and have all types. Like, were we already on track for this to continue? Like, were the numbers trending higher before the pandemic started? Like, with all of the, just look at a work week and all the stresses people go through, the lack of leisure time, work-life balance is way out of whack in this country.
Right.
Do you think we were already heading in this direction and the pandemic just exasperated even more?
I think you're absolutely right. And I think the truth is that we have been there for a long time. But because of the stigma of talking about it, because of the stigma of saying, hey, whoa, wait, I need some help here. Really, just to ask for a life raft to be thrown out, that has been broken through by a number of people. You mentioned the two Olympic athletes, but Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, some celebrities have talked about openly their mental health crisis. And they're doing a great job of that, because the more they do it, the more it becomes okay to do it. So the Catherine Zeta-Jones, who talks about bipolar disorder, and Michael Phelps talks about his depression and anxiety. These are top-notch athletes, top-notch athlete, Olympic gold medalist, but even the best of the best struggles with this. So it's not isolated to just regular people like you and I. It is, it's pervasive everywhere.
That's interesting, especially because I'm older. So I remember a time when there was the stigma against, mental health or saying you're depressed or anything. Like, that was like, you wouldn't admit it, because if anything,
right,
like, you would lose out on opportunities, or you would be looked at as weak if you said you had any type of mental health issue, or even just, I needed a day, a break, a mental day. Like, that wasn't a thing coming up. Like, you were definitely looked as less than.
Yeah.
Do you see that turning around a little bit more now because of these celebrities?
I think so, and I hope so. Because the truth is, every one of us will hit a day like that. What's happened, I think, is we've gone into a collective cultural grief scenario. And when I say grief, what I'm talking about is, you can grieve anything. No, it doesn't have to be a death. You can grieve loss of going to your workplace, loss of going to your favorite place for dinner, loss of your kids getting out of your house and going to school. All of those are grief agendas. So I think we've been in a national state of grief. And there's a interesting, and you probably heard this before, but there's an interesting 5-step, 6-step program with grief. Number one is denial. Mm-hmm. We denied it. And if you remember, the first month of the pandemic, right? It was just like a snow day. Everybody was just like off,
Yeah.
Hey, have fun, come on over, or not come over, but don't come over, but have a glass of wine, where we got a free day off. We don't have to go to, and so there was a kind of fun part of it in that point. And then it got very old and very draggy. But so there, the first part was denial. Denial is first stage of grief. It's not happening or won't happen for long. We'll get out of it. Then you go into bargaining. And bargaining is when you have an agenda, you bargain back and forth and you just say, okay, I'll do this, but I won't do that. I'll try this. I'll go out with my friends in this one little pod, but I won't venture anywhere else. So we bargained to find some hope or some way of exercising or being together. Then you hit depression, sadness, then and anger. And, I'd like to talk about that for a second.
Absolutely.
Because I don't think people understand the difference. Now, to my mind, we all went through this in different ways, in different intensities. It was a national year and a half of grief. And so once you get through bargaining and you can find maybe where you can get a little bit of pleasure, a little bit of release, but then you go into depression. And depression versus sadness is a very interesting thing. Depression is lack of feeling. You go numb. It's just like the Bambi in the headlights, just.
That's good that you pointed that out, because I think a lot of people don't recognize that for what it is.
It is. I mean, it's like you don't want to do anything. You have no energy. You lack purpose. You lack motivation. I can make anyone depressed. If you want to be depressed, just come home, stay inside, put on the TV, eat junk food, and lie around for a couple of days.
If you really want to be depressed, look at my bank account, and you might take your own life.
Well, hopefully they won't do that.
Yes, don't look at my money.
Yeah, but the depression basically is the lack of the things that give us joy, and a giving up inside, just like, oh well, just take me, that's it. So it's a not feeling place. People think that that you're really sad when you're depressed, but not necessarily. The truth about depression is you're flat. You ever talk to anybody and you go, hey, how you doing? They go, yeah, I'm okay. You can hear it in their voice. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. Absolutely.
They're usually more up or bubbly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm fine. And you go, I don't think so.
Right.
Okay, that's depression. Sadness is when you cry. You just cry. You let it out. You break through or you break down, and you say, I've had it. I can't take it. I'm just too stressed. I was having trouble sleeping the other night, and I just was at the edge of, and I just started crying, and it wasn't for any one reason, but it just started crying. And as I cried, what happened is I relaxed, and as I relaxed, I fell asleep. So the key here, and what I want to really stress in this little synopsis of mental health, is that you got to feel what you feel, and you have to express it. And then there's anger, and people are pissed off. I mean, they're mad. Mm-hmm. They're mad that they have to wear masks. They're mad that some states they don't, but they're mad that they don't can't do what they used to do. They're mad that they've missed opportunities. They're mad that their kids are at home at school. They're mad,
right?
And they have a right. And they have a right to be mad. They have a right to protest. Then the last stage is resolution. That's when you come to an acceptance of the loss. And I think that the whatever wave we're in, 4th, 5th, 238, we're going to have to accept that viruses are going to be with us for a long time. This is not over. And I think there's a real stress with that. People want it to be over, but they have to accept. And the resolution is, I finally accept I can't change the world. All I can change is myself. and I accept that I've had a loss here. And then I'm going to go on and recreate my life in some new ways. So I think that's the grief cycle: denial, bargaining, depression, sadness, anger, resolution. And as your listeners are listening, you should think about, well, gosh, which one of those am I in? Am I sad? Am I depressed? Am I angry? And you can cycle through all of them in a short period of time, but those are the stages.
So let me add this, because it seems like when you broke down the difference between depression and sadness, to me, based off of your definition, the difference is depression is stagnant, it's stationary, whereas sadness, there is a movement. Whether you're breaking down or you're having to break through, there is movement. There is some type of force behind it. But with depression, you're kind of sedentary, and that's the difference.
You're right. You're well said. Well said. And when I'm working with people, doing therapy, doing coaching, the first thing I try to do is to get them to talk about some of their anger. If they're depressed, if you scratch it very hard, what you're going to find is some anger in there or some sadness. And once you get them to express that, they start moving through the depression.
Okay. Allow me to play devil's advocate here, because of the conversation about mental health being moved forward. I'm again playing devil's advocate here. I think there are people that could counter that by saying that some of these people are using mental health issues as an excuse, and because it's kind of at that point right now, if anybody brings up mental health, that you kind of have to back off, or you're seen as insensitive. So I think that there are a group of people, probably from my generation and older, that look at the younger kids using mental health or claiming they have mental health issues as an excuse, and that they need to toughen up. What do you say to this? Do you have a reaction to that?
Well, I guess the problem I have with that kind of general statement, to be honest, is that it may be true for some people. It may not be true for others. You kind of have to dive into it personally.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that anybody who's in a struggle, whether it's a struggle of resistance, like they're resisting work, or they're resisting doing things, that are just using mental health as a cover, okay, or whether they're really in a struggle with mental health, both of those options would need someone to help them talk it through because both of them go nowhere. If you're just using it to cover up and you're lazy or you're trying to get out of something, that doesn't work either. That's a self-sabotage. It's going to be found out in time. But if you're really struggling, if you're really depressed, if you're really stuck, then that is something that needs to be talked through. And there's a little quick thing to look at. I think you might like. It's called, and when I'm working with folks, I call it feel, deal, and heal. Feel it, whatever it is. Feelings are facts. They're not up here. You can debate them all day long, but you can say, nah, I'm not really angry. Oh, really? But you have to accept them if you want to get through them. So feel it, whatever it is. Feelings are facts, and they only go two ways, either in or out. If they go in, you're going to have complications physically. We'll talk about that in a minute. But so feel it, deal with it, which means express it, talk about it, run and cry if you need to, protest, get out your baseball bat and beat the pillows to death.
Not the pillows.
Beat the pillows,
They're for decoration, not beating.
Kill people in your shower. That's what I do. Get your wash rag and get it all full of soap and say, I've had it with you. You're fired. And express it. Okay. That's where the movement comes from. So you feel it, you deal with it, which is expression, and then you heal. which is release. So
I
that's
have
the quick.
I have
Mel.
2 little kids, and that sounds like part of the conversation I've had with them. I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. And a lot of times I tell them, they hear this at least once a week, it's okay to feel what you feel, but you can't
Right.
express it that way. You have to find a different way of expressing it than throwing a temper tantrum and throwing yourself on the ground or screaming and crying. There's a different way to express it. Am I helping or am I harming by telling them it's okay to feel that way, just don't express it that way?
You're helping.
Okay.
Number one, feeling. I mean, as a man, as a father, giving your children permission to feel is fabulous, fabulous. And you're maybe one of the first generations to have done it. My father certainly never said that, and maybe people of my generation have started, but your generation is really, you got it. Okay. Then, it's one thing to say it's okay to feel, but you can't express it that way, but maybe you want to show them another way to express it.
Right.
Maybe you want to say, hey, when you're really mad, and I get you're mad at me, I understand it. I hear you. I want you to go in their room and I want you to hit your pillows, or I want you to get out your little, whatever they have, that little rubber dip or little rubber bat or doll.
They do have those.
Yeah. Just express it. Go in there and hit the bed. It's fine. It's fine. And they will do that. If you show them how to do it, go in there with them when they're having a tantrum and do it with them and say, great. Now, how do you feel? And after they've exhausted themselves, they're going to feel pretty good.
Okay. I don't know. Like I never thought of saying go hit something because I felt like that might then say that violence is okay.
Well, you can be clear about it. It's okay to express your feelings in this fashion as long as you don't hurt yourself and you don't hurt anyone else. That's the parameters. Let me tell you something. Most people I know need to go and beat the bed. Mm-hmm. Really, they do. They need a good protest. Do you remember?
Just make sure your wife's not in it when you're beating the bed. Like, there's some days, but yeah.
That's a whole nother issue. Okay. But, no, beat it with her in it. That's right. So, there was a film called Network. I don't know if you remember it or
Sandra Bullock movie? Was it a Sandra Bullock movie? Oh, okay.
No, it's older. And there was a guy in there who would come out and he would yell, I can't take it anymore. I'm mad and I can't take it anymore. And then he got the whole apartment building to start yelling it every morning. But that's what I'm talking about. The Japanese have a room, at least corporations had a room in which you could go and just padded everything. And you could beat the heck out of everything and everyone,
Really?
And that was an accepted practice. Yes. So protest, but within boundaries,
Okay.
You don't hurt yourself and you don't hurt anyone else because your kids don't know what to do with it.
Right.
They've been told it's okay, but they can't do it that way. So let's take it one more step and show them how they can do it. And here's the really important part. After they do it and do it the way you've told them to, give them a big hug and tell them they're doing it right. Okay. Their mental health just went up 80%. And I'll send you a bill.
Please don't. Please remember my bank account. Let's not. Unless you want to see me professionally, please don't send me a bill.
Oh, jeez.
In fact, bill it to Hot Pie. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. Let's get their mental health up. Okay.
With the what advances have we had in the mental health field? Because I feel like that the reason so many more people have been diagnosed with mental health issues is because there have been greater advances in mental health to identify things. Is that true? And if so, what advances have we seen? Or is it the same as it's always been?
Well, it's not the same. Okay. I'm sure there have been advances in terms of assessment. But I think for the norm, let me make a differentiation here. There are people who really need to see a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a mental health professional to talk about their problems, that they have gotten to a point where they feel they can't handle them. And so they need some assistance. And for those people, that's what they need to do. Okay, they absolutely. For the general walking wounded, all of us, there are some specific techniques, and I can talk about these in a second, that can help us without going to a professional. But I just want to go on record that if you are feeling deeply depressed, you can't get over it, you're so sad, you can't stop crying, you feel so enraged every day, that's where you live, then you need to see a professional. And there are new drugs for anxiety and depression that are fabulous, that work very well. And there's research too that if you've been depressed for over 6 months, you've changed your brain chemistry. So you do need to see a psychiatrist, who is the only mental health professional that can give you a prescription for drugs. So, without a question, if you're in that category, and there are a lot of new drugs that help quickly, I'll tell you a personal story.
Okay.
When my younger brother died suddenly a number of years ago, and that was horrible, and it was a shock, and I understood I was going to be go through the grief stages. I mean, I'm a therapist, I knew what I was going to be doing. So I thought I was handling it. I thought I was going through them pretty well. It takes a little time, of course. But then my friends started to tell me, Pat, you just seem off. You just don't seem like yourself. And I went, well, yeah, come on. Yeah, maybe. So denial, that kind of stuff. But finally I said, well, I think you may have something here. Because there's a phrase in psychology I like, and it says it takes two to see one. It takes somebody else sometimes to say to you, hey, man, you're just not you. There's something going on here. We got to look, let's look at it. So my friends did that. And so I went to a psychiatrist, and I got on light antidepressant. And within weeks, it lifted me. It lifted my gloom. It lifted the haze, the brain fog, the inability to really care. My care muscle was broken at the time. So anyway, so it got me back on track, and I stayed on it for I'm not sure how long, 6 months, 8 months. Then I very systematically got off it, and I've never been on it since. But there are times that you need that, and your brain needs it. So what I would say to everyone listening is don't take the chance. You can get on a Zoom call with a doctor. And there's some great online therapists these days. One is called betterhelp.com, and it is treating people over Zoom. So with professionals, I mean, absolutely licensed, qualified professionals. And they're going to, I think they already are part of the Hot Pie family, but so call them, betterhelp.com.
Calm is another one. I believe they're in the UK, but Calm is another one that helps out with people with mental health issues. I believe they do it online as well.
Isn't that an app? Don't you just listen to it, or is there?
No, there's an app, but I think in the UK, because I watch a lot of YouTube stuff from the UK accidentally. Yeah. And they have one there called Calm. It's a wrestling thing. I fell into it, but I know they would do like fundraisers for the organization over there.
Yeah. So, yes, there are new drugs. Yes, there is help. Yes, it's come a long way. But there's also things people can do right now. So,
cannabis.
You want to try?
Does cannabis help?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're in California. You can say that.
I can say it, and I can, yeah, it does help. Does help. And there's a lot of treatment for particularly sleep disorders with cannabis from regular MDs walking around who are now got wind that it's better than benzos or Valium or any of this other stuff that's very addictive. Ambien. Those are not great drugs anymore. So anyway, I want to show you something. This is kind of fun. So for anxiety, ready?
Yep.
Got any anxiety? You're thinking about the beach and your kids and they're going to wear you out, right?
Mm-hmm. I've got a lot of anxiety. Well, I have a lot of things that could trigger anxiety in my life right now.
Okay. All right. Here's what I do with people for anxiety. Very simple. I want you to put your feet on the floor. If they're not on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Now I want you to sit a little bit erect and push into your feet. Feel the pressure into your feet. And now I just want you to breathe. Breathe deeply, just like take 3 deep breaths, push into your feet. And as you push and as you exhale, just think, I'm releasing it. I'm releasing it. It's leaving. Okay? A couple more deep breaths. Don't fall asleep on me. Stay with it. All right. Deep breath, exhale. The real thing here is exhale. Push it out. Push it into your feet. Okay, push your feet down to the ground. Lean forward if you need to, and then think, let it go. Just let it go. Okay. How do you feel?
Lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel lighter. A little bit. I don't know. A little bit clearer. To be honest, if I'm being perfectly honest, yeah. I feel a little lighter, and I feel like you were talking about brain fog, and I've definitely been walking around with London levels of brain fog. But I feel like I can see, my mental visibility has extended a little bit after doing that.
Yeah, and how easy was that? I mean, you can do that, and you can do that anywhere, anytime. So you're on the beach, the kids are driving you crazy. It's dad, just make sure if you're sitting down on your bottom, just put your feet up, push them into the sand or the blanket. 3, 4, 5 breaths and exhale.
Now, if we start getting up to like 17, 18, 20 exhales to get me there, do I need to see somebody?
No. You just need to keep doing it. But this is called a grounding exercise.
Okay.
And what happens is when people get anxious, they go up. Oh my gosh. And you may not do that physically, but inside you're doing that. So what happens is this brings you down because the only stability we have is the ground, right?
Facts.
There's no stability here. So as you come down and you push into your feet, I'm sitting in a chair where my feet don't even reach, but you push into your feet, you ground your energy, and then you exhale. And you exhale the stress, exhale the demands, exhale the concerns. Now, that doesn't mean they go away. They don't. But then what that does mean is in those moments afterwards, you have a mental clarity and a feeling of stability that you may not have had.
See, I like that. I like that exercise. Thank you for teaching us that. Because I'm not anti-drug, but there's just so many people that are walking around on mood altering prescription drugs, and especially with the opioid crisis we've had. Like, I've never been a big drug guy. I feel like there are probably a lot of ways that we can handle these issues without going to pharmaceuticals. And that's why I asked about cannabis. If there's other ways, because if there's anything that you can do to help heal yourself as opposed to, 'cause I feel like the drug is a quick fix, but it doesn't actually fix the problem. It's something that people
You're right.
take and they pop this, and then we got a bunch of zombies walking around who aren't feeling what they really feel. They're hiding their feelings. They're not addressing their real feelings by using the drugs. How far off am I? And are there other ways that we can help heal ourselves as opposed to medicating ourselves?
Well, the answer is yes, there are other ways. And that's one of the things I just taught you, just demonstrated. If you're feeling anxious, you can do grounding exercises. You can, of course, do all the things we already know: exercise, yoga, meditation, talking to a friend. All of these are healing, endeavors. And just say this: there is a time for drugs.
Okay.
And my example, of course, for me was that I couldn't pull myself out of the depression, even though I was a mental health professional, even though I knew the steps, even though, and I'm a human being just like anyone else. And the death of my baby brother, suddenly at age 42, threw me into a spiral that I couldn't get myself out of. So at that point, getting the help I did to recalibrate my brain was a good thing to do.
And I think
now,
that makes sense.
If I'd stayed on it for 20 years, now we're looking at a crutch. So you get on it, you get stabilized, and you get off. And I agree that the drugs alone don't change behavior. They just give you the mental resources to learn the skills you need to learn to change the behavior.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. But if you're over medicating yourself, that's just another form of mental illness.
And so then you need another medicine for the medicine that you're on to help.
No, I mean, that's not what they do. I mean, if you take it to the extreme, if you're an alcoholic, if you're drug addicted, they're going to put you in rehab and they're going to get you off the stuff, but they're going to do it sequentially, step by step by step. They're not going to just withdraw it and throw you into some kind of psychotic world. Good professionals know how to get you off drugs. And I don't think that the idea of mental health is to make everybody a zombie, at least not my idea. My idea is to empower people to understand they have choices, and those choices will define them, and to help them get better choices, which means dealing with their feelings. Quit avoiding them. Quit pretending they're not there. They rule.
I think that's part of the problem. That is part of the problem. Is I think that there are too many times that we instead of sitting down and dealing with it, we look for the easiest way to get past this, as opposed to like we had a spiritual healer on the show, and she talked about doing shadow work.
She was quite good.
Melissa's great. I love her. And she had recommended to me, doing shadow work and really sitting down, and it's hard work. And I think that just from trying it and going down that road, the self and the reflection and looking inside of yourselves and trying to heal those wounds that we have is hard, and it's scary, and it's not easy. It's not an easy road to go. But I believe that ultimately that's the way that we need to go if we actually want to get past some of our roadblocks, some of our mental health issues. It's a lot of self-inflection and looking inside for the answers. But like you said, I think it's a crutch.
You're absolutely right. No, you're right. And at some point in time, you can speed up that process by, having some set number of sessions, let's say, with a mental health professional who knows what they're doing.
Right.
Because I was talking to a woman yesterday. I was doing a Zoom call with a group of women from Africa and Egypt and London and Scotland. I mean, it was an international call. And this lovely woman from one of those countries said that she had journaled about her abuse, and she had journaled for years about an abusive uncle, whatever it was. And as she had spent all these years journaling, she had emerged with resolution about it and had forgiven him, which is wonderful. However, what's not so wonderful about that is taking 10 years to do it. So with someone who knows what they're doing, you can speed that process up tremendously. And, here's the other thing. I want people to start thinking of mental health as an investment. If you got a great deal on a house or a stock and you knew it was going to go up and you invested in it, you would be prepared to reap that investment and feel really good about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, mental health it's personal real estate. You're buying real estate that will appreciate. You never get crazier than you are. You only, if you invest, get better.
Are you sure? Because I feel a lot bit crazier in the past 5 years. I feel like, reached a new level.
Well, I don't know. Have you invested in yourself?
I mean, yeah, a little bit. A little bit, just, changes in life. I think changes in life have added to craziness over here on this side.
Of course.
Life changes, definitely.
Yeah. Well, it's a personal choice. But it's an investment. And the people I know who've done it, and myself, have always felt, that I got value for my investment. So invest in yourself. You're every bit as important as stock or real estate. You know what?
That is fantastic. We have to get out of here pretty soon. Let me give you an opportunity to talk about your show, Stop Self-Sabotage.
Yes. Well, if people have enjoyed our little conversation today, then please come on over and listen to Stop Self-Sabotage. It's based on a book I wrote a number of years ago that became a bestseller. And it's really about how people get in their own way. And, I have on guests just like you do, and wonderful guests that talk about everything from gratitude to conflict resolution to marital magic. We do the whole thing. I have a wonderful woman coming on who's a widow from 9/11. She's going to talk about healing trauma and what she went through. Okay. So, I had one woman, my first one, this was crazy, who had been shot in the head by terrorists and then recovered and built a life again. So you think you're having a bad day.
Not that bad. Not that bad at all.
Not that bad. No, not that bad. So the show is a mental health show. It's all about personal development. It's all about learning something new in the area of stopping self-sabotage. So I hope people come and listen.
I hope you guys do too. I've actually checked out a couple of episodes and I've enjoyed myself. Thank you so much for coming on. And please go check out Stop Self-Sabotage, guys, right here on the Hot Pie Media Network. Doctor, do I say doctor or I'm messing up again? Okay, Pat, it's been.
I'm your friend, Pat Pearson.
Y'all check my homie Pat Pearson out over at Stop Self-Sabotage. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and your knowledge. And I feel like I took a lot out of this conversation, and I'm so appreciative that you stopped by. We got to do this again because this is like man. I have like 1,000 more questions and conversation. Like there's so much more conversation to go down.
You just want some free therapy. I could tell.
Me? Are you kidding me? Yeah, I do a little bit. Just Pat, you take care of yourself, right. Okay?
I will do that. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. That was Pat Pearson from Stop Self-Sabotage. You guys check her out when you get a chance. And as always, thank you guys for coming and checking out the Gray Area Podcast. It's always been a pleasure. We'll catch you next time on The Flip. Until then, be kind to one another. And here's mud in your eyes. Peace.
Thanks for listening. You can find more episodes and all of our other Hot Pie Media originals baked fresh daily at our home online at hotpiemedia.com, the Hot Pie Media YouTube channel, or wherever you listen to podcasts.